Hey guys, it's Witch. Want to say ahead of time, sorry if you hear any weird noises. My cats. It is what it is. So today I wanted to talk about hoarding, and specifically my hoarding, and which you have all seen if you watched my March vlog, which should definitely be up before this. So this is kind of a partner video to my March vlog, I guess, where I would like to talk about my issues with hoarding, what I think caused those issues, and how I've been working to kind of move beyond that to improve my life. I would like to start by saying, as a disclaimer, I am not an expert on hoarding. I am not an expert on mental illness. And I do not by any means consider myself a minimalist. Not at all. I'm not somebody who, under any definition of minimalism, is a minimalist. So I want to start by talking about how long I was hoarding. That's the word I'm going to use through this. Some people would argue whether or not it was in fact technically hoarding. I feel like due to the emotional strain and the amount of stuff, it was. So I had been keeping stuff for as long as I can remember. I have memories from early childhood of picking things up and taking them home, of insisting we keep things that people wouldn't normally keep. And to some degree, I never saw how much stuff I had. Like, it didn't seem excessive to me throughout my life, until much later when I kind of changed my perspective. And at the same time, I never saw those around me getting rid of things. Nobody in my family got rid of anything. And I'll talk about family a little bit more later, because that plays an important part into this, I feel like. So, why? Why do I even now, and why have I historically felt the need to hold on to things? Things that other people might value at nothing. They might think it's meaningless, or they don't understand why. So it's hard to say why for sure. There's not necessarily a clean-cut reason that every single person who does this does it. It's not like this is a singular issue that doesn't stem from other issues. It stems from other issues. So, one of the reasons I think is because prior to being 18, I had never moved. So, with the exception of when I was a very little baby. So, basically from the age of 1 to the age of 18, I lived in the same house. We never moved, and we rarely had garage sales or had any reason to get rid of anything. So, we didn't. And it was a big house. So, there was lots of room for lots of stuff. Didn't really think about it. When I was 18, my parents decided to move. And I decided, in part because I wanted to, and in part because I felt obligated to get rid of many of the things I owned. So I got rid of, probably at that time, about 85% of my possessions. Most of what I kept were things I was actively using at the time, for college or for whatever, or were sentimental. And I'm using the term sentimental loosely because we're talking about keeping things that most people would view as garbage or would never think to keep. So I got rid of things that I viewed as like purchasable items. Like, these were not things I created, and these were not things I needed right that second. So for me, that was a lot of my childhood toys. That was a lot of just miscellaneous electronics and stuff like that. So I got rid of as much as I could stand. And I basically ended up having a breakdown because of this. And my impulse to keep things got much, much worse after this. It was already bad. I was already really bad about just keeping everything. That's not in doubt in my mind now. At the time, I didn't see it like that, but that incident of moving when I was 18 just triggered something in my brain, and I suddenly started holding on to everything. Like everything I thought I could use for even the tiniest reason, maybe someday, maybe, I kept everything. And I think that's mostly because I was not ready yet at that time to get rid of things that I got rid of. I don't feel like I was ready at that time to let go of the emotional blanket that is the items around me. So that's some of it. I think a lot of it, going back to family, was habit. This was learned behavior to some degree. My parents kept everything, both of theirs and mine, every school assignment, every report card, everything. And they kept so much of their own stuff. They each had collections of things, and that's fine. They're very passionate about what they're passionate about, and so am I, and so is my brother to some degree. My brother definitely got like the least amount of this out of everybody in the family, but there was definitely that issue there where, and I'm not saying that this in my adulthood is my parents' fault. I'm saying as a child, I didn't see this behavior of purging your items. So I didn't realize even that this was something you could do, that people did, etc. As far as I was concerned, everybody kept everything. So kind of an extension of that is there was encouragement from those around me to keep my stuff. People would say, why are you getting rid of so much stuff? You have storage, or you might need that, or you don't have that much stuff. While simultaneously other people were saying, why do you have so much stuff? How did you get so much stuff? That's crazy. Like, you have so much stuff. And some of that continued even to very recently, with this move, and over the past 2 years, as I've been really working through things and getting rid of stuff. So kind of as a note, I'm 26 now. So it was 8 years ago that I kind of had the breakdown and started like really keeping things. 2 years ago that I started getting rid of things. So there was about 6 years there where I just kept everything. Plus I had a bunch of stuff from my childhood still as well that I had kept. And so I don't think you can look at hoarding and not look at mental health. It's something that goes hand in hand. Healthy people don't hoard. Mentally stable people don't hoard. So I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I've never been diagnosed with OCD, but I show a lot of the symptoms. And hoarding is a symptom of all three of those. So while I don't know which of those is responsible for the emotional toll getting rid of things takes on me, I'm sure that plays into it. So part of that was I couldn't see the issue. I couldn't realize how much stuff I had, and especially if I had it organized, I couldn't see how much stuff I had. And I was really blinded to things around me in general, because of being severely, severely depressed for a lot of my life. I also have had in the past, and to some degree still have, abandonment issues. So it was kind of like I was viewing my stuff as replacements for people to some degree. somebody would die and my hoarding would get worse. I would lose a friend, or somebody would leave me, or my relationship would end and it would get worse, because I was kind of seeing it as, I guess, these items don't have the will, the ability, whatever, to leave me. It's my choice for them to stay or go. So basically, they'll never leave me type of like mental state that I was in when I was dealing with a lot, as far as people leaving me either by choice or by death or whatever. So and a part of that, I feel like, is that the stuff around me has always very much been a comfort. It is comforting to know that I have every paper from the 4th grade, because what if I want to look back on them someday? You know, it's comforting to know I have all these toys, because what if I decide to have kids someday and I want to give these toys to my kids, like the toys I played with as a child. I have no intention of having kids. None. I don't have any intention of having children to pass these things on to, but that's kind of where my brain has been. It's always just been just in case. I'm somebody who always has to have a backup plan, and hoarding really plays into that. And lastly, under mental health, I'd like to say that I feel like I had a really strong inability to face it. I tried on several occasions, again, like when I was 18, to part with a large number of my items, and it was too much. It was overwhelming. I didn't have the motivation. I didn't have the emotional strength or stability, and I always just ended up essentially relapsing into hoarding, or not even getting far enough to justify a relapse. It just never ended. So that's basically what I would say under why. There's a multitude of reasons. There's always going to be a multitude of reasons with anybody who has a lot of stuff. But those are the reasons that I see after looking into my past and looking into my psyche and really evaluating myself and my desires, my emotions. That's what I came back with. So how did I finally start getting rid of things? One, I started small. I would get rid of small things, whether they be broken or trash or, I don't know, something I just genuinely didn't want anymore. And even to some degree, getting rid of that kind of stuff was difficult. So I started really small. I just got rid of things I probably wouldn't even notice are gone, that kind of thing. And I did that for a long time. Like I said, I've been for about 2 years working on this. So, about 2 years ago, that's when I started just getting rid of a few things here and there, while simultaneously trying to control my buying. So I think to some degree I had a shopping addiction. Not as bad. Probably not bad enough to even call it an addiction. But I definitely enjoyed shopping. I enjoyed the rush of finding something, etc. So I spent a lot of time buying things. I spent a lot of money buying things. So I started working to control my spending. And kind of the mental idea there was to save money for my Europe trip this past fall. And I wish I could have done a better job even than I did, but, I've been working really hard on getting some of my debts paid off and et cetera, et cetera. So controlling my budget, controlling my spending is an important part of that. And part of that is prioritizing purchases, making lists of things I genuinely need, making lists of things I really, really, really want. And then leaving those lists for a while. Looking back on them, figuring out, do I need that? Do I still even want that? Then looking from there to find the perfect one, because I was really bad about getting into the cycle of like buying something that was kind of so-so and I wasn't in love with it, but it was cheap or it was convenient, it was there. So now I'm at a point where I try not to buy anything that I don't love. If it's not something I'm truly passionate about, I don't buy it. And with that, I prioritized the possessions I owned to some degree as well. Kind of making mental notes and to some degree boxes or bins of things that were kind of my like lowest priority items, things that I had lost interest in or whatever. And I started setting those items aside to think about. A lot of those ended up in the shed. Okay. So I started getting a lot of inspiration from the internet, looking at YouTube channels and reading blogs and stuff of people who had made these big changes in their lives. And generally these were people who identify with minimalism and really took it to an extreme. A lot of the time they were not like in possession of as many things as even an average person when they started, but that did kind of motivate me to work in that direction. And then I started finding videos of people who were more similar to me, people who had problems, people who, as a result of XYZ, had accumulated a lot of stuff. And seeing their process, hearing them talk about the emotions behind that, really helped motivate me to move forward with that. Kind of the last thing that got me finally started was saying goodbye to most of my clothing. The one big thing I still haven't been able to rid myself of emotionally or physically is my collection of band t-shirts. I'm really attached to the music I listen to. I'm really attached to the bands I listen to. A lot of them are from concerts. They come with these experiences. And I don't know. I wear them a lot. I have this image in my head of maybe making a quilt or something out of them someday. I don't know. And I know it's just excuses at the end of the day, but I'd say probably close to half my wardrobe is band t-shirts at this point. I had two big dressers. No, three big dressers, a couple piles, several bins, a basket of clothing. So we're talking like probably 500 plus clothing items. Maybe even, I don't know, even maybe more than that. I have no idea. Now I'm down to less, like basically part of a dresser and then about half a closet. So it's a very manageable amount now. And even now I'm kind of looking at what I wear and what I don't wear constantly and kind of weighing those options. So I find that getting rid of clothing is an easy way to start because it's something that we culturally see kind of as disposable. So it's easier to move towards getting rid of something like that rather than getting rid of something that you consider to be like a sentimental item. Sorry that the angle changed. Took a little break in the video to play with cats and do cat chores. So now we're going to move on to what I did after I finally firmly made the decision within myself to start getting rid of stuff. So one of the first things I did was read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, which everyone has read by this point, I'm sure. If not, it's a good book. I recommend it. It really helped me towards figuring out what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. And so I did kind of a combination of several different cleaning styles, but a lot of it was KonMari based. I read a handful of other books about minimalism and kind of extreme minimalism because, while that's not my goal and that's not my interest, I doubt I'll ever be like a real minimalist. You know, I feel like I can take ideas and take concepts from those and apply them to my situation. I did, and to some point I still do, but I did watch a lot of declutter videos. For a while, that was the only kind of YouTube videos I was watching, was just decluttering videos, like, of people, you know, getting rid of their stuff and deciding how to organize things and blah, 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 blah. You know, I just watched a lot of that kind of stuff, so. And I tried to work on it a little bit each day, where before I was working on it a little bit at a time, that wasn't necessarily every day. And I switched at that point over to working on it every single day, rather than every couple days or once a week or whatever, to kind of speed up the process, since I had finally gotten to a place emotionally where I felt like I could part with a lot of my objects. That isn't to say that I don't have anything left. I have tons of stuff. I still have tons of stuff. An amount of stuff that I'm closer to comfortable with. I'm not still necessarily happy with where I'm at, but I'm working towards being where I want to be. So next, what you guys saw in my vlog last month is tackling my storage. So I had a whole shed, and not everything in the shed was mine, but pretty close. So I'd been planning to deal with the shed for over a year. But I finally got my new job here in the city, and I had to move, and I had to take all my crap with me. So that meant either taking a whole shed's worth of stuff with me, which I couldn't do, or really getting it together and getting rid of stuff. And I ended up putting a lot of time into that storage unit to get it where everything pretty much was good to go. I do still have stuff at my dad's house, stuff that I consider like long-term storage, like mostly sentimental items I wasn't ready to get rid of yet. I have a pile of things I want to sell. There's a few things that still need to come here. But it went from front to back stuffed to, you know, a few piles of stuff, not a lot. I really want to be less burdened as far as moving goes. Like, I would like to be able to theoretically kind of be able to pick up everything I own in a 1 to 3 days and move if I had to, rather than this needing to be several weeks or a month-long process. I don't like being kind of held down in that way. I also needed stuff from the storage unit, my cooking supplies, my dishes, my all sorts of stuff, furniture, etc. was all in there. So everything that I'd had when I was not living with my parents for 5 years previous to the time I moved back with my parents, was stuff I was still going to need when I moved. So I needed to find all of that stuff. And then, to some extent, I was also working really hard on honing into, like, who I am, like, who I really am, honing into what I'm really passionate about, what I really care about, honing into that aesthetic that I'm really trying to, like, grasp. I have this image in my head of my aesthetic, and the image of my reality still isn't quite there. So what does all of this mean in regards to my future, in regards to my life, and in regards to the YouTube channel? So in regards to my personal life, I'm trying to save more money to hopefully keep traveling, with Egypt being my next goal. My collections are more curated now. They're more specialized. They're more thought out. And I do still have tons of stuff. So moving forward in my life, I'm still going to be trying to get rid of stuff and trying to convince myself to emotionally part with certain things that until now I have not been able to. So at this point, I've gotten rid of probably at least 80% of my possessions again. 80-90%, I'd say. And like I said, I still have a lot, but we got rid of about 4 truckloads of stuff. And pretty much everything I have now would fit in like 1 truckload, not including my furniture, but like all the loose items would fit in 1 truckload. So, you know, like I'm pretty proud of how far I've come, even though I still have a long ways to go. So what does this mean for you guys? What does this mean for my YouTube? What does this mean for my content? For one thing, there's going to be less toy content, probably. The blind bag mashups aren't going to be happening anymore. Or at least if they are, very rarely. The collections I'm focusing on now is pretty much Nendoroids, a few other figures, certain sets of Tsum Tsums, and 2 Funko mini sets. I've gotten all of my Funko minis except for my Steven Universe and my Harry Potter ones are in the for sale pile. I've decided to get rid of all of them except for those 2 series. And I'm still doing some doll collecting as well. To some degree, for quite a while, it's been moving in that direction. So for a lot of you, especially newer subscribers, you probably won't even notice the change. And I'm also trying to just create higher quality toy content when I do make it, and more content that is not toy related. So obviously I'm still going to be vlogging. I really enjoy vlogging, even though I'm really bad at it. I'm trying to get better, trying to like work on story consistency. I'm going to be trying to talk more about veganism and doing Q&A type videos, etc. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about on this channel, and a lot of things I want to talk about in general that I need a platform for, and this can be that platform, even if it's a small audience. So I hope you guys will stick along with me for that. I am still collecting Pokemon cards, but slower than I was. So, again, there will still be Pokemon card content on this channel. It will just be less than it was. So if you guys have any questions in regards to anything I've covered, I can try to answer. Again, I'm not a professional, so I can only tell you within the sphere of my experiences, what I know within that sphere. But if you do have questions, you can leave them down below. I will answer in the comments if I just get a couple, or like just 1 or 2. If I end up getting a lot for some reason, I will make a video about it, answering the questions rather than just answering individually. So thank you guys for watching this. I'm sorry, I know it's a long video. There's a lot to talk about here though. And within regard to this whole process, I feel very proud of how far I have come and how far I know I will still be going. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.